Hi, I'm Gary from Raz Rentals, and today I'm going to talk about the differences between the brand new NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, Arcade Leatherhead, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles the Animated Series? Leatherhead from NECA. So let's get started. Now, these figures were just released within the past couple months. You could get the Arcade Leatherhead from specialty shops, and you can get them on Target, Big Bad Toy Store. You can order them through your comic book store. And the cartoon line, you can only get through Target. They had a pre-order on NECA's shop a couple weeks ago. So if you missed it, you should have got it then. Otherwise, I don't know what you're going to do now. You're going to be stuck buying eBay or buying these on eBay. And the prices for these figures can get crazy. So I really like these guys a lot. I feel like they did a really good job of capturing the look and feel of Leatherhead. These guys, even though one is based on the cartoon and one is based on the arcade game, their proportions of their bodies look more like the arcade Leatherhead. If you watch the old cartoon, Leatherhead is a little bit more, he's shorter. He has a bigger torso, upper torso, and his legs are a little stumpy, but he's huge. He's still like 2 times the size of the Ninja Turtles. Where these guys, the arcade games, he has longer legs and just like a bigger upper body. Some episodes later on too, Leatherhead does kind of look like this a little bit, but in general, he's a lot more stumpy and a little wider or stouter. So the biggest difference you'll notice between these guys is the paint. If you look at the arcade Leatherhead, he's got cool pixelated shadowing or shading. You know, you have all these cool square pieces to make him look like he jumped right out of your game. If you look at the Leatherhead from the cartoon line, he has a very cel-shaded look. So it's just you have the one top, a very flat color, and then you just have a line to separate it from where the shading goes. Now, I kind of wanted to mention that even though I think this looks really nice, I don't think that the greens here necessarily match. It kind of seems like, you know, that's like a mint green, and then this is more like an olive green. So it doesn't look like it's a two-tone mint green. I don't think it looks bad. I still like it, but it's just something I picked up on. It kind of reminds me of when you'd watch Batman the Animated Series. Whenever they would have Robin, the green on his sleeves, they weren't like, you know, sequential greens. One was a little bit bluer. I feel like this is more blue and this is more like a yellow green. So that's my big thing there. Now, the biggest difference is, okay, also you have the eyes. The eyes is like a big thing too, where he's got these pixelated pupils, just squares, and this guy has more reptilian eyes, these slits. Both of them look really nice, and I kind of prefer the color scheme of this guy. I like the more brighter yellow jacket and the blue pants, and I kind of like this kind of green more than this guy. And for the longest time, I forgot that even in the cartoon he looked like this, that he had this like mint green, because I always picture how he looks in the arcade game because of playing the arcade game for years and years and years, and the cartoon kind of came and went and people forgot about it unless you looked up you know, pictures on the internet or eventually got your DVDs. So the differences in the sculpts here is that the arcade Leatherhead only has this one belt that's sculpted on his lower torso, and the cartoon Leatherhead has that belt underneath, but he also has an extra belt on top that, as far as I know, you can't remove this thing. But this is a very nice extra belt. It's made out of rubber, goes around the body, and you can see how he has 2 belts here. It has a little clip here so you can put the bear trap in there. Sometimes it's hard to get these guys to stand. And the biggest difference is that Arcade Leatherhead has different lower legs. if you look, you'll see that he has small feet. And this Leatherhead has these huge, clomping feet. I think Leatherhead is supposed to be wearing those, I'm not sure what they're called, but they're like rubber boots. They go all the way up your legs. So I think that's what he's supposed to have. Otherwise, they just kind of gave him this look to kind of cheat with animation. So they're like, oh, we don't have to draw different shoes. We can just draw a foot attached to a leg. Who knows? If you look at their bodies, they share pretty much the same exact sculpts as Bebop and Rocksteady. There are a little differences. If you look at Bebop, his legs are the most similar to both of them. Rocksteady has a couple extra pockets on the front of his thighs, but he essentially has the same exact cut or sculpt. They all have the same kind of thighs, except he's got this extra band here. So they just removed this band, or didn't include it on this guy. And this one has these, he's got his little pant legs all the way up here, just like this Leatherhead. Except this Leatherhead has Rocksteady's shoes. Their lower torsos are specific to themselves. Nobody else has these lower torsos because nobody else has tails yet. I don't know if maybe it'll be different in the Triceratons. I don't know if they have tails. I don't remember from the cartoon. I know in the comic book they do. This guy, though, he's got his calves here, his lower legs. They're very different. Nobody else in this line has these kind of legs yet. My biggest issue with the cartoon Leatherhead is the same issue that everybody has, where this little joint in here is like a tan color when it should be blue. Because on the back, it's even more noticeable. It's ridiculous. So as much as I love this guy, I wish that they would have given him dark blue, like a dark blue connecting piece, or black something. I actually tried to color mine with a Sharpie, but I couldn't. First of all, it's not dark enough, and I couldn't get the enough reach for it. This Leatherhead, his color, as well as the arcade, he also matches the old toy. The old toy has a very light blue pants, and shoes are the same brown, and the jacket is pretty much the same yellow. This old Leatherhead figure was okay, but he was never my favorite because he was a lot smaller than the Ninja Turtles. And when I think of Leatherhead, I always think that he should be a lot bigger. He should be like gigantic in size compared to them. When it comes to articulation, I can't really... He's supposed to, you're supposed to get a lot of good movement with the head, but I can only really get him to look up and down. I can't get him to rotate from side to side. When I try to open up his mouth, it never stays open. It always eventually just kind of slowly shuts. If you look at the neck here and that connecting piece, that's the same as Rocksteady. Now, he has no articulation in his upper... He's got this a little bit, but... So he can twist only in this one spot in his torso. His shoulders can rotate up, and they can rotate around. His bicep can swivel. He has double elbow joints. His wrists swivel, and he's got a hinge. I definitely think that what they should have done with this hand, though, is they should have given him one of those hinges, kind of like on the Super 7 figures, where it's kind of vertical. Because right now he's got a horizontal hinge, so he can only move, inwards and outwards like that. But it would have been so much nicer if this one hand that can hold the knife, if you could have tilted it like this, because in the game he stabs you, or he throws his knife, and this would appear a lot more with what you would want to match the game. In his hips and his pelvis, you can rotate up and down like this. You can rotate out that direction. Oh shoot. Oh my gosh. My guy's leg popped off. Okay. So, that is no good. Now, I had a really hard time with this guy to begin with, because I couldn't get his thighs to rotate. It was a pain in the neck. Like, and I was so afraid that I was going to break these joints in here. So I'm going to have to fix that a little bit better later. In order to get his thighs to rotate like this, for this one leg, I actually had to stick a pair of needle nose pliers up here and grab onto this on both sides and hold or squeeze as I was trying to turn this, because even though I tried to warm it up with warm water, I just could not get this to rotate. And like, it looked like it was going to break and all that kind of crap. And I don't really recommend it, because when I was done and it was all over and I could finally get this to rotate around, I kind of indented and scratched up this spot in here. But that was the only way I could get the leg to move. And like that is my biggest complaint about NECA toys, is that they're so hard to move around. Like, to get the cartoon figures is so hard. You have to go hunt them down. You have to track them down. It takes forever to find them. You finally do find them. You bring them home, and then you try to move them around. And, you know, either they move great, or sometimes you'll just get joints that are completely stuck. And, you know, there's been a couple where I'm just like, I leave the joints alone. I'm like, I'm never going to ever turn this joint. Or sometimes you push it and then you might accidentally break it. Honestly, I haven't had any joints that have broken other than his leg popping off right now, you know, which is pretty funny since I'm shooting this video. I haven't had any legs really, like any joints break, but I would imagine that, you know, if that did happen and you were trying to get a replacement, it's probably not the easiest thing to get a replacement from them. I could be wrong, you know. I guess I have no idea. Maybe it is really simple. Maybe if you contact their customer service, they'll send you out a replacement part, you know, simply. But, you know, since you're like hunting these downs, you want them to be good. You want them to work really well as soon as you get them. You don't want to be afraid that you're going to break these things, because these things are really amazing. Like, NECA did a really good job designing these guys. Like, I think they look fantastic. They look even, like I said, even though he doesn't really match to how he looks in the cartoon, because he's not as short and stumpy and all that kind of stuff, like, I still love the way he looks. He still looks great when he's standing next to the turtle. Like, look, they look like they're going to rip him to shreds. He's tiny. And then, so, like, I like how they look. I do like the articulation when it does work. I think it's very functional, and you can get really cool poses at them and everything like that. But when you're reaching a point where you're like afraid to break the figure just to move them, like that's something I wish they could work on and fix in the future. This guy also has he has swivels in his calves, and he has double jointed knees. He has a rocker in his ankle, which is good, because this guy is very top heavy. And if you didn't have the ability to, you know, spread these feet out a little bit, he's going to fall over all the time for you. You know, the tail is nice. It moves. It's very sharp here. These scales up here, the top ones, they're very thin, very sharp, but they look fantastic. So, in some way, like, in one way, this guy has more articulation than this guy, because this guy doesn't have any kind of rotation whatsoever in his calves. He does have an ankle rocker, which is nice. So you can get him into nice poses too. When it comes to accessories, the cartoon Leatherhead came with a ton of great ones. You know, you have these crawdads that you could pretend are biting your victims, or you could pretend he's throwing at them. He's got this cool little chain necklace, so you can put it around the turtle's neck and pull him along. He's got this great net that you can use to, you know, capture the Ninja Turtles, hoist them up in a tree. Oh my gosh. Like, dude, get me out of here. Get me out. Yeah. Or you could take the rope. Like this is all wonderful. Like this is extra stuff that you'd never get anything like this back in the day, and now you're getting like all this extra stuff. It's just that you have a little bit of baggage. And as much as I love NECA, you just have those problems. You have the problems with the articulation, and you have the problems with trying to find these guys. And I got really lucky. I was able to get Leatherhead from Target on the first day that they put it up for order on the Target website. I got really lucky, and late at night, at like 3 o'clock in the morning, they put them up again, and I just so happened to be checking then, and I got them. Boom. I got the arcade Leatherhead from Big Bad Toy Store. Now, they both have the same extra hands. You got these hands that are for gripping or grabbing. You know, he can hold his shotgun with it. He can hold the... Ooh, come on. He can hold the crawdad. I guarantee you can hold him. You know, attack the guys with them. And he's got these extended hands, which are really nice. I feel like, obviously, I used it for both of them for how I was posing them at the time, because it's just a nice expression-filled hand. You can do lots of things with it. And then he's got fists for when you want to pound the turtles in the face. The only thing is the fist hands have nails on them, and all the other hands don't have nails. I feel like, I don't know why these have nails. They shouldn't have nails. The cartoon didn't have any nails. Same thing with Bebop and Rocksteady. They had the exact same hands. They're all just colored to their fur or scales. So in general, what was going to be a very short review became a very long comparison and explanation of the differences between these guys. This guy also has this very amazing double ketchup barreled shotgun. I don't remember the episode this is in. I don't know if this is when he fights Rat King or where this comes from, but I love this gun. I think it's great looking. And I love this bear trap. And a lot of people, when they were opening these and getting them out of the package, jeez, they were accidentally pulling that clip off. And I could see when I was just pulling the bear trap off, it was pulling a little bit. So you got to be careful. If that's still attached when you pull it out of your package, be very, very careful. I don't know which one I like better. I think in some ways I kind of lean towards the arcade because he's just how I picture Leatherhead to look. He's got the same colors that I always think of him. I wish that NECA would find sort of a middle ground with these arcade and cartoon figures. Like, I don't care if you give me both of these guys, but also give me one that's like a mixture of them, where you have the flat paint of this guy's colors on this guy. That would be perfect. With these feet and the body, just give me the flat color without the pixels. I mean, he matches pretty well enough. If you really wanted to, and you would be like have the cartoon versus the arcade, it's not so off-putting that you couldn't do it. You could still do it. And that's a fact, I guarantee. Down in New Orleans with all the crocs and alligators. I can't do that accent. So, thanks for watching my video. Let me know what you think. Watch my other videos. I have some Super 7 videos. I'm going to try to do some other NECA figures. Like I said, these are both great. Just a little bit of a mixed bag.